big question on everyone's lips. How's Chelsea?
So Chelsea trained yesterday and got through, so we'll name her, and all things being equal, she'll play.
Was that fitness test? Did you train with the whole group?
No, she just trained, and she's had a bit of a modified warm-up, but essentially she got through the majority of the session, so that was really good. She's obviously just worked super hard through the rehab process, and I think it's pretty much bang on 3 weeks, so pretty standard sort of ankle, I guess.
3 to 5 that, wasn't it? So there was a chance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you're never sure how they're going to respond, and it was like touch and go because we were right on the 3 weeks. But she got through training, and so she's available.
We have to nurture her through the game at all?
Don't think so. Not on what we saw yesterday. She pretty much, we did a version of sort of match sim for a brief period, and she just ran around and played, so she should be right.
How's the team and yourself? I guess just a nice little boost to have the skipper come back for the big game.
Rather have her than not, yeah. So she's obviously a great leader, great player, and amazingly versatile. So it's a good asset to have. Obviously going into a pretty big game.
Were you surprised that she rebounded so quickly?
As I said, it was going to be a line ball, but we were always reasonably confident that she'd be available for finals, and clearly, the top 4 meant that we had 2 weeks to get her right, but I'm glad she's right for the first one.
Much more change, pretty.
Not significant change. Yeah, we've had a fair bit of change in the team throughout the whole season. We've got depth, and we're more than comfortable bringing players in. But even though last week's performance wasn't our strongest, the second half was pretty good, and so we won't have significant change. No.
In terms of timing and your form, you mentioned last week, not your strongest form, are you in a good spot?
I'm really happy, yeah. So we'll see, we'll find out. But the beauty of what we've been able to do this season is, find ways to win games. And we've had a lot of tight, close games, and you'd envisage that any that we play in from here on in will be that type of game. So I think, I haven't actually got the stat in front of me, but I reckon there'll be 5 or 6 games where the margin's been tight right into the last quarter. So I think that holds you in good stead, to be honest. So we'll see how we go.
How do you feel going into this finals campaign compared to last season's, which was earlier this year, in terms of what difference is there in such a short amount of time, if there is?
There's more teams in the finals. There's 8 this time around. So how do I feel? No, I feel about the same. It's a new format, so we're playing in the first ever qualifying final, which is good. And but obviously we're playing Melbourne, who we played in the grand final last year, and we played in the prelim final in the previous season. So there's obviously some familiarity with their personnel, and they've obviously got a number of threats right across the park. They've had an outstanding season. They've taken all before them, but we feel quietly confident.
2 flags in 6 months. What would that mean for the legacy that this team leaves behind at the Crows?
Yeah, well, they're pretty tough to win. So anytime you get a chance, you should, obviously grab hold of it and try and run with it. But I think what we're finding is that the competition has got better every season. And even though we only had 6 or 7 weeks in between the end of the season and the next pre-season, the standard's gone up again. And this final series shapes as being, I think, the best ever. The 8 teams that have qualified, definitely deserve that. And there's probably been a bit of a gap between those 8 and the rest of the comp. So now we get to find out. It'll be good.
So obviously you are the most successful team in AFLW history. You've won 3 flags. How do you kind of keep that fire burning?
Well, it's pretty good fun if you win. That probably lends itself to generating enthusiasm, and clearly this has been an extended campaign by the virtue of the fact that the 2 seasons rolled together. But when you get to this part of it, I think the players that have been there before are, they're jumping out of their skin to get another opportunity, and the ones that haven't been there, we've got a number of players playing their first final. They're kind of feeding off that, and also just bringing that enthusiasm of experiencing something for the first time. So that's a nice blend, and once again we'll find out.
It feels like, particularly over East, they're not talking about the Crows as much as they should.
What was that, sir?
It feels like over in the East particularly, they're not talking about the Crows as much as they should. They're talking about Brisbane, talking about the Demons.
No, I think those 2 teams deserve to be having the focus on them because of the way they've played. They've been the dominant sides of this season, no doubt. both teams' percentages is through the roof, and obviously separated by a very, very small margin. So, no, I think that's deserved, the focus and the favouritism ultimately. But the reality is that percentage doesn't matter. It's just who can show up on the day, and we've got a pretty talented squad, so we'll back ourselves in.